Hey, Paul, nice to see you
Nice
again.
to see you too, Andy.
How you been?
Doing all right.
Good, good. Why is growth such a big imperative these days?
We've gone through such a unique economic cycle with all of its pressures that it's really prompting us to look at growth differently. What I mean by that is think about the last 6 years. 2008, 2009, 2010, battening down the hatches, cutting costs, writing off bad loans, especially in financial services, dealing with the new regulatory environment, dealing with all of those pressures. And those pressures were different than what we experienced in the prior cycles and the prior downturns.
There's like different flavors of growth. So we look at organic growth as being trying to squeeze a little bit more out of an existing business model, existing set of customers, existing set of products and services. Maybe more adjacent growth could be more transformative in nature, maybe a new business model, new channels, new product services. Just talk a little bit more about how you think about growth at that level.
Well, I look at organic growth as still being critically important, but increasingly problematic. And that seems like a conflicted statement. In part, it is. And the dynamic we have here and the dynamic you see with our customers is that there's only so much you can wring out from a revenue or profitable revenue growth in organic right now. Why? Because all of our customers are seeking to cut costs or looking for higher value in what we're giving them. So if we at D&B were to do what we've always done, which is foundational data and foundational insights, what we're seeing is our customers are saying, that's great, but I need you to reduce costs 3, 4, 5% a year. So not surprisingly, you see many companies trying to make this pivot to find those new adjacencies. That's the right strategy. We believe it's essential for us, essential for our customers. Still have to deliver against it, still have to be consistent with your value prop. It still has to be consistent in a way that's going to make a difference in the marketplace. So what we've been focused on, not surprisingly, is analytics and insights, but it's still in the spaces we do business in, credit risk and sales and marketing optimization. Those are the two things we do well, and those are the two things we've always done well. We advise our customers to do the same thing. You have to find the adjacencies to generate growth, but it's very hard to go to an adjacency that is multiple zip codes away from who you really are in the marketplace.
Yep. When you're thinking about these different flavors of growth, where does the customer or your client or your customer fit into the mix there, and how do you think about customers being that source of growth or a place to turn to?
Well, they have to be at the center. For us, for instance, we spent a considerable amount of time in the last year making sure that the roadmap we're executing to, which involves adjacencies and adjacent growth, we spend time with our customers constantly sense checking and making sure that we're addressing their business needs, solving their problems, helping them grow in a very difficult marketplace. So customer has to be at the center.
So just to build on that, so in your world, in D&B world, is it your customers or your customers' customers, or how far do you think through that whole activity chain?
Well, it's both. We look at our customers, but we always have to look at our customers' customers because we're in business to support business in their relationships with other businesses. Yeah. So a big chunk of our growth in terms of adjacency is around sales and marketing optimization. It's about helping our customers be more effective in terms of their sales and marketing resources to grow their business in the marketplace.
How do you know if you're on the right growth path?
Myself, I probably see 400 to 500 customers a year.
Wow.
Which is an incredible number, but one of the reasons I do that in somewhat larger group settings, but then one-on-one, is not only to help our sales teams, but also because we constantly learn from that.
Interesting.
And we've been tweaking our value proposition and our adjacencies based upon that feedback.
Sure. Talk a little bit about the embed strategy. So this notion of 1 + 1 = 4, or whatever the term you're using these days, but talk a little bit about how that strategy has been successful for you.
Well, that's the other part of a growth strategy, is to find your right partners, find your right collaborators. So we're spending a lot of time finding those partners and collaborators, so what we're doing is being linked with them, so 1 + 1 = 8 or equals whatever number you want to assign to it. And that's really being purposeful about who you're going to partner with. D&B does a lot of things really well. Data, analytics, insights. That's who we are. We're a content company. We're not a delivery company. So not surprisingly, our partnerships are increasingly with entities that deliver, that build the UI, that build the interface, that build the workflow tools. That's not our strength. Or we work with other partners who can handle the project management, the wrapper around the process change and the change management side. That's not what we excel at either. So while we're building adjacencies, to my earlier point, those adjacencies are always back to who we really are, and then we find the partners to deploy and extend those adjacencies in new ways.
Delivery, yeah. Talk a little bit about what some of the bigger barriers are, internal barriers are, to actually then chasing the growth that's been identified.
I think the number one thing we all underestimate is change management. And oftentimes what you do is you fall back on what you've always done, because it's human behavior. You underestimate those things. So it's very important you have the right change management, you embrace the right metrics, you hold people accountable, you incentivize accordingly. All of those things that you guys do so well in terms of helping companies understand, critically important, because it doesn't just involve a full transformation of a business, but if you're going to try to develop adjacencies, that's transformational as well. It may not be transformational in the sense that you're blowing up a business,
right,
but to some degree you are blowing up a business, just smaller sticks of dynamite.
right.
Is it easy? No. Every day is an ongoing set of trade-offs that we have to deal with between what we've done traditionally and what we're doing. But that's where change management comes in. That's where our focus has been so intense on trying to find the right balance between the two.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome, Andy.